December 7th, Friday.
And now an article from Miley Sports about a pianist who won 4th place at the International Piano Concert, the highest Japanese placing in the competition, and who now lives in Vienna, and who won 2nd place at the University of Vienna in 1990, and whose world-class abilities and the buzz of being Yoko Tomo's daughter has attracted the media, and who, this year, finally won 4th place at the International Piano Competition, the world's 3rd largest piano competition, the same competition her mother once won.
Another day begins with my habitual hot morning shower, which, as always, washes my sleepiness away and gives my body its sensation and warmth back. It's very cold in my room, and it's still dark outside. Even though I've been doing this every day, it's still pretty hard to get up during this season. But today is Friday, after all. After this one last day awaits the weekend that I've been looking forward to. Well, I still have work on Sunday though.
Hey, Kidahara, about the poll statistics I asked you to do yesterday.
I've already uploaded the information to the server. I also added a comment on the aggregate study for different age groups. I thought I already notified you through email last night. This is the original draft from another publisher. I'll leave the editing to you. It's due at 8 o'clock. Got it. I have a meeting at 4 o'clock, so I'll get right to it afterwards. Hey, Kidahara-kun, the next issue of the Town Information Corner, don't you think it'd be a good idea to do one on Suetsugu-cho? I don't think there's anything special about my neighborhood aside from Hojo University, though. I'll still take that into consideration, of course.
I'm sorry, but please condense it to just one page. Just use your usual method. Whoa, this is bad. I've got less than 2 hours left until my appointment.
I'm sure yellowtails taste delicious this season.
Oh, come on. That's not it at all. That guy won't write me anything unless I hug him incessantly. So I'm going to head over immediately today.
I'm supposed to condense this to one page? Just how much do you want to cut out? It's 3:45 p.m. Kyosha Building, 3rd floor, Kyograph Editing Department. My daily life hasn't changed since my days here as a part-timer. Kyosha PLC, Kyograph Editing Department, Kidahara Haruki. It's my first year in the company, in the editing department. It's my first year in the company, in the editing department. I'm the youngest, or lowest, so to speak. Also, Kidahara, can I take a bit of your time? About this proposal. Could you give me some feedback on it later? I can do it after I come back, but are you sure you're asking the right person, Matsuoka-san? Please, help me. You're the only one who would give me any constructive feedback. Hamada-san only points out the flaws, and Suzuki-san is vague about everything. That's because the proposal Machan wrote can't even be considered an actual proposal.
You need to work on articulating your information into words. I can't even understand what you're trying to communicate with it.
That's because no one taught me anything. If only I got to work directly under Mari-san like Kidahara did. Hospital admission fees nowadays are 100,000 yen. Keep that in mind.
As if you'd last long under Kazuoka with your work ethic. You always leave as soon as you can, even when you have work piling up.
See, everyone's horrible to me. The only one I can count on is you, Kitahara, the legendary workaholic Kazuoka II. No, I'm still quite far from that level. I wouldn't be able to stand it, having a junior instruct me every step of the way.
Don't say it like that. His lack of pride is actually one of Matsuoka's strong points. Besides, you won't be able to slack off for too long either, you know? From what I'm seeing, Kitahara is already at your level, Suzuki.
I'm just a rookie. Thanks to the ubiquitous reputation of my master when I was a part-timer, no one in the editing department actually sees me as a newcomer. I'll head to my meeting now. I should be back by 6.
Is that the one where you're substituting for Ensemble's chief editor?
Yeah, I think we're going to sign some magazine and commercial contracts there. So we need to have an official employee present. Since she's famous to the point where every single editing department knows about her, her influence has way too much power. No matter which editing department I went to, my job was made much easier by simply bringing up the nickname Kazuoka II. Also, from the chief editor, everyone else there is a pro at editing. The chief grumbled earlier about wanting someone to work directly under him.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Kitahara. If you don't want to go, do you want me to go refuse it for you?
That's not a problem. I'd rather not transfer responsibility in my first year of working here so openly. I'll head out now. Make sure you come back. I'll be waiting for you all day here. Until 8 o'clock, that is. I graduated from university in March, and just as I planned, I managed to secure a job at Kyosha. As such, the atmosphere of my workplace is no different from my part-time days, so I'm getting my taste of life as a working adult, without noticing too much change, except for one single, not very small detail. My mentor, who trained me when I was still a part-timer, was invited to work at the American branch, so all that's left here is her legend. That's why, instead of being left with an enormous mountain of organized work, I am left with an enormous mountain of disorganized work. And so the first year rookie, me, is supposed to find work within that mountain that's suitable for me, set priorities, and slowly work towards achieving them. I'm not trying to steal Matsuoka's line, but Amada-san never makes these decisions for me. As usual, today I picked what's highest on my priority list. Actually, ever since my first job, Ensemble's chief editor, who I owe a lot to, has asked me to have a business discussion with the sales manager of a certain record company. But sending a newcomer like me as the substitute for the chief editor, I just hope they won't be offended. I'm very sorry for being late. I'm Kitahara from Kyosha's Ensemble's editing department.
Nice to meet you. I'm Ogaso from Knights Records Public Relations Department. It's a pleasure to meet you.
She handed me her business card with a smile on her face, but I ended up leaving her hanging for a whole 3 minutes. I'm definitely not cut out for this. This is bad. Only 5 minutes left. We graduated from university in March and took our first steps into society down our own separate paths. Takuya is working for a cosmetics company as a salesman and frequently visits many stores in the city. Since he's just as skillful as a womanizer as he used to be, he's rather popular with the female sales staff. Setting aside their age, he's gotten good reception all around in his first year. He still doesn't have an official girlfriend, but unlike before, now he doesn't have a mountain of unofficial girlfriends either. He's settled all loose ends with those girls once he graduated, and now he's trying to appeal to a certain someone with his newfound uprightness. That certain someone being Io, who successfully realized her ambitions of getting a job at a sporting goods maker. She wanted to work as a designer, but since it's too competitive, she's now busy working in the HR department. Due to her already frank personality, further accentuated by her looks, she is popular among both her male and female coworkers. Her lack of interest in love hasn't changed though. She doesn't have an official boyfriend either. So he should still have a chance, but who knows for how long things will continue like this. And finally, Knight's Record Public Relations newcomer, Ogiso Setsuna. After that Valentine's concert, she started to look for work related to singing, and she finally picked a decent record company. During her 4th year, she decided on her future career path. They hire very few people for this position, so I was a bit uneasy about her working in such a competitive field, but she succeeded magnificently in the end. It goes without saying that her grades and interview scores were great, but I'm sure that a certain very visible strength of hers helped her along the way too. The proof is that the moment she started working there, she was instantly assigned to the public relations department and was put in charge of negotiating with other companies. Of course, the company wasn't hoping to utilize only her ability to negotiate. A very cute girl just joined Knight's public relations department. At first, I thought she was some sort of celebrity. We've invited her out many times, but to no avail. And that's not coming from just 1 or 2 people in the industry. It's not an environment that promotes becoming an artist, nor does it usually make distinctions between people. But still, she's enjoying a lively day-to-day life, working at a place in constant contact with music. I'm back. And now, that rumored public relations beauty.
Hey, you're late! You barely made it in time!
Is currently making dinner for me in my apartment.
I'm sorry.
Look! The date just changed!
I'm sorry.
Following Setsuna's finger, I can see the clock's hands in my room are pointing directly at 12 o'clock. Sometimes Setsuna has to head directly to work from my apartment. In order to overcome her habit of staying in bed too long, she brought an alarm clock with a snooze function.
Last week, you worked the weekend, Haruki-kun! You were this close to breaking our rule. You swear it? You promise that you'll meet me once per week?
Last time we met was last Friday. I sent Setsuna home before the day was over. So if we hadn't met then, I would have broken our promise.
Didn't we just meet each other earlier in Kayosha's meeting room?
That's Knight's Records, Ogaso. She's not your Setsuna, Haruki-kun.
I was going to let out a sigh, but the exhaustion from my sprint got in the way.
Haruki-kun, you're starting to not take our 1 week rule seriously anymore. You were close to breaking it twice last month.
Well, that's because... Incidentally, Setsuna's indignation also got in the way. But still, Setsuna knows full well that it wasn't my fault. After all, we're both now working members of society. After I finished the proofreading Matsuoka asked me to, I checked the material Suzuki-san asked me to look over. As for Kazaki-san's layout, I'll get back to him on Sunday. And from 10 o'clock, I reviewed Matsuoka-san's proposal together with Hamada-san and Suzuki-san. For some reason, I was given the role of editor. At 11 p.m., I felt that Matsuoka-san was being slightly ridiculous when he casually thanked me for our hard work and promptly left. I couldn't do anything about that, right?
Now that we've been dating for so long, maybe you really have gotten bored with me. If that's the case, I'll never be able to recover.
Of course not.
Can you truly say that with certainty? That you still love me?
Of course I can say that.
Haruki-kun?
Even though many regrettable things have happened, I will never waver in my answer if someone asked me whether I still love Setsuna or not. As the sounds of the kitchen knife stops, I capitalize on the moment Setsuna stops cooking. She gives me non-stop complaints, hugging her from behind.
Jeez, you always try to distract me like this.
Because Setsuna is so charming when she's sulking. There's just no way I couldn't do something so wasteful as getting tired of her, slighting her, or getting too used to her. Actually, that last part might not be so bad.
Haruki-kun, you're warm.
That's because I ran all the way from the station. I decide not to ask which part of me she thinks is warm.
So, you could keep our promise?
That too. But I also wanted to do this with you, Setsuna. If even a moment earlier. I tightly adhere my entire body to Setsuna's back. I bury my face into her hair and suck in her fragrance with each heavy breath. I push my abdomen against her soft back, my toes on her heels, my thighs on the back of her thighs, my knees on the back of her knees.
Wait, Haruki-kun?
And on her butt? There's no way I could get bored of her. On the contrary, my feelings and my desires only deepen as time progresses, only deepen as time passes, to the point where I can't calm myself down until I go all the way right now. I'm sure Setsuna too is. Setsuna, I'm about to... Or at least so I thought.
Dinner's ready. Let's hurry up and eat.
We can't?
We can't.
I'm already completely in the mood. Well, Setsuna, on the other hand, pushes me away with a composed demeanor. But rather than food, right now
No, it's dinner time right now.
Setsuna! In the beginning, there was a purpose in trying to distract her. But now, my feelings towards Setsuna are overflowing, and I've reached the point where I can't hold back anymore. Setsuna knows full well that I'm on the brink.
But if we don't eat now, the food'll get cold.
Yeah, but
But I'll always be steaming hot for you whenever you decide to eat me up, you know?
that's true, but...
Right?
My head was so filled with thoughts of disappointment that I almost failed to hear that last line. After we made love, we decided to bathe together, to rid ourselves of the impurity we bestowed upon each other, only to stain each other once more. This was originally planned by Kizaki-san, who's a senior of mine. Of course, he's the one who's supposed to be going, but he suddenly decided to get engaged that week.
Oh, he's getting married? Good for him!
After we got out of the bath and dried ourselves, we both crawled into bed without putting on anything. After all, there's no need for us to put anything on. Having our bodies touch one another is more than warm enough. Good for him, sure, but does that mean he can just push an overseas business trip on the newcomer?
They really have high expectations of you, don't they, Haruki-kun? They've never let me leave the Kanto region.
That's because the scope of your job is different.
But the higher-ups are flying all across Japan. That means they just don't trust me that much yet.
Like I said, that's normal. Thinking it a waste to fall asleep on the night before our days off. It happens pretty often that we talk the night away in bed. And before we know it, the sun is already up. And when we finally do fall asleep, Setsuna will usually remain in bed until evening, after which she will lament having wasted the weekend away.
Still, Europe, huh?
What is it?
No, it's nothing.
It's just that Setsuna is having a harder time finding a proper topic of discussion than usual today.
That's pretty far away, Europe. When we were still students, we couldn't go even if we wanted.
I suppose so.
But now you can go. In terms of money and freedom, you're so much different from back then. So you can go wherever you want.
Hey, I'm not sure what you're so worried about, Setsuna.
I'm not worried. There'd be no end to it if I worried about every little thing, like the plane crashing down, or there being some terrorist attack.
How many countries do you think there are in Europe? How vast do you think it actually is?
We're not talking about the same thing anymore, Haruki-kun.
Setsuna is probably thinking about one single country. An EU member state, with German as the official language. Its capital city is also known as the City of Music. I'm only visiting Spain, Italy, and France. That's why I told her that this trip doesn't include that certain country. It's like I'm giving her the itinerary of my graduation trip, honestly and straightforwardly. I promise I won't set foot in a single country outside of those. That's why...
I'm not worried about anything like that. You just have to come back in one piece. That's enough for me.
Thank you. Even though she said I'm not worried about anything, Setsuna contradicted herself by making a wish. In order to put Setsuna's mind at ease, I let go of her shoulder and hold her hand. When I find Setsuna's hand, she slowly intertwines her fingers with mine.
I'll be looking forward to my souvenir, okay?
Of course. If you have anything specific in mind, just let me know.
Hey, can you buy something for my family too? I think my mom wants a bag, and one for Takahiro too. I'll get you a farewell gift.
I'll handle it. There's nothing to worry about. And there's nothing to lament, because it's already been 5 years. In these 5 years, we've formed an unbreakable bond that no one can cut through. That's why...
Well, when are you leaving?
December 17th. This is bad.
When are you coming back?
In truth, what worries me the most this time isn't where I'm going, but the scheduling. Because...
Haruki-kun?
December 24th.
When would you land?
Is when I'll depart from there. By the time I land at Narita, it'll probably be the evening of the 25th. Ow! That hurt, Setsuna! The nails of her hand, that's intertwined with mine, suddenly dig into me, and her resentful scream reverberates painfully in my ear. Well, it's only natural for her to be upset.
What about Christmas Eve? What about our 1-week rule?
I'm sorry. Even though I managed to keep it just earlier, she still got sulky. But now our 1-week rule is truly put to the test. On top of that, not being able to see each other on Christmas Eve, that's fatal for a couple.
Sorry won't cut it. Didn't we already make a reservation at Arumi Integral Hotel?
Well, if we cancel now, we won't have to pay the cancellation fee. In order to make up for what happened 2 years ago, since last year, we've planned going to that hotel every year. In other words, this year, we can't even celebrate the overcoming of our trauma there.
Is there no other way? Can you make it home somehow on the 24th?
Well, I'll still be working in Paris till noon on the 24th. In order to make the trip more efficient, I received work from other editing departments as well. And before I knew it, my schedule had gotten longer and longer. But that's a secret.
There's really no way? I'm really sorry.
But it can't be helped, given that I've dubbed Kazuoka's successor at Given that I've been dubbed Kazuoka's successor, or Kazuoka II, I would never allow myself to tarnish the name of my esteemed superior. Because if it was her, she could handle going to 2 or 3 additional countries with ease. Setsuna slowly releases her grip from my hand, as well as the head that was on my chest, and the legs that were wrapped around me.
I don't care anymore.
I thought she would move herself away from me, but all she did was turn around, along with the blanket that was wrapped around us. Setsuna! Hey! Setsuna-chan? When I try to talk to her or shake her shoulder through the blanket, she just shows me her back and pretends to be asleep. When I found out about my trip schedule, I already knew this ordeal was coming. But now that it's actually happening, it really does feel draining. I'll buy you souvenirs. I'll buy whatever you want. even if it's from Louis Vuitton, or Gucci, or Prada, or Hermes. So please, at least share the blanket with me.
I don't want any of those.
Setsuna!
Haruki-kun, you don't understand me at all. I'm not so cheap that I'd forgive you just because you bought me an expensive gift.
Of course I know that. From under the blanket, I can hear that Setsuna's voice is tearful in earnest. Hey, Setsuna, turn around, please. So I try to put her heart at ease by putting my hand under the blanket and gently patting her shoulder.
Don't touch me! Don't touch me with that obscene hand of yours. I'll start to feel happy, and you'll have me completely distracted before I can even realize it.
Sorry. What she had said made me happy, but at the same time, I pulled my hand back. If just the slightest touch can quell her, doesn't that make her even cheaper? Well, I know for a fact that someone like me just isn't a match for someone like Setsuna at all. If I'm the customer, she's the woman putting discount after discount on herself, selling herself at a loss. Sorry, but as for me, I betrayed the love and trust she placed in me. If I don't get it back somehow, I'll call you every day. When I come back, I'll come to you right away. We can take time off from work and spend the week together. How about this? Let's go on a vacation when I'm back. I'll follow you no matter where you want to go, Setsuna.
Vacation?
That's right, a vacation. She took the bait. Now's my chance. We can ski. We can have as much fun as we want at a theme park. Spending New Year's at a hot spring sounds nice too. Setsuna, you prefer more relaxing places, don't you?
A vacation, huh?
Want to start planning tomorrow? For New Year's, that is. Well, it seems like that's it. Setsuna is definitely interested. Should we go to a travel agency? I know someone who can get us a good price. She's friends with my previous superior. She helped me out on this business trip, too. I already got my winter bonus money, and I don't plan on putting a price limit on Setsuna's smile.
So, we can go wherever I want?
Of course! Not only Hokkaido or Kyushu. If you want to travel further away, we can even go to Hong Kong or Guam. Because, just like how Setsuna always devalues herself for me, I always see her as the most valuable thing in my life.
France,
Eh?
December 24th, I want to attend the Christmas Mass at Strasbourg Cathedral.
Eh? At least, that's what I thought. The wish Setsuna mentioned is beyond the issue of just the price. Just as she said, she's definitely not a cheap girl.
December 8th, Saturday.
France, you say?
Yeah, I would love to go on this trip with Setsuna-san. That is, if you're okay with it, Father.
Why are you speaking so stiff all of a sudden? Haruki-kun, that's not like your usual self.
Well, of course I'm going to act stiff. Traveling overseas, alone, with my unmarried daughter. I'm sorry. And with that, our Sunday date went something like this. After going to the travel agency, our next stop was the Ogaso household. My stomach hurts.
Hey, you're going all the way to France, so why would you pick such a backwater place to visit?
That's right. I've never heard of that something place before. When you go to France, isn't it normal to go to Paris? Especially if you're planning on doing some shopping. Jeez, you two sure don't know anything. Don't you know that it's a World Heritage Site? There are some streets that remain unchanged since the Middle Ages.
Kyoto has places unchanged since the Heian period.
That's right. Kyoto is super popular among foreign tourists. It's the same idea. But still, I don't want some local folk art as a souvenir.
That's right. If you buy us some weird quilt, we won't even know where to put it.
All of you, be quiet. I'm trying to have a conversation with Kitahara-kun here.
I'm sorry. I don't even know why I'm apologizing, but if I don't take the initiative to apologize, I don't think he would be able to calm himself.
Well then, can you tell me more about it? What intention do you have with this trip?
Since I'll be on a business trip during Christmas, and I'll be in Europe for a while, I would like to spend Christmas with Setsuna-san at the place where Christmas originated. The one who came up with this plan was your own daughter. That's something I'd never allow myself to say as a man.
I've always wanted to see it once. A real Christmas mass. But isn't that a hotspot for tourists? I'm surprised you managed to get a reservation this late. Yeah, it was supposed to be full several months ago, but someone just canceled the reservation recently.
Or rather, it's most likely Sawako-san abusing her power. At first, when we were talking with the agent there, it seemed almost silly because we were asking for the impossible. But the moment Sawako-san showed up, everything changed. How should I put it? She just spoke in several different languages on the phone for a bit. Then she finished reserving Setsuna's ticket and a hotel room for two in less than 10 minutes. For an unreasonably low price as well.
Isn't this going too overboard? Taking your girlfriend on your business trip. That's mixing private matters with your work.
By the time we meet up, I'll have already finished with my work. I also got approval from my boss yesterday, so there shouldn't be any problems as far as my company is concerned. Perhaps feeling guilty over pushing this business trip on me, Hamada-san acquiesced rather easily.
But it's overseas. If something ever happened to Setsuna...
When we're together, I'll ensure Setsuna-san's safety. I'll do everything in my power to ensure that. If I say I'll put my life on the line here, I'll probably get approval from the ladies. But I'm sure that'll have the opposite effect on Setsuna's father, even though that's what I'm planning to do anyway.
They'll go on a honeymoon sooner or later. You're really grasping at straws if you're acting worried now.
Takahiro!
Well, you haven't made any future plans of that sort with Setsuna yet, right? Just the two of you traveling now is...
This isn't the first time either. Sis is never home during the weekend after all.
This is bad. At this rate, I'll soon be leaving the realm of being able to calmly persuade him with reason.
Yet, whenever I tell you that she's with Kitahara-san, you never have any qualms. So if she sticks with Kitahara-san all through the trip, everything should be fine too, right?
You... be quiet.
Takahiro-kun, let's just leave it at that. If it becomes a matter of emotional arguments, I stand no chance. Setsuna will have to stand up and convince him. But then it'll turn into a family feud within the Ogaso family.
Most likely, neither I nor her father wish to see that happen.
As for Haruki-kun, he needs to go to Spain, Italy, and lastly Paris before we meet up. Ah, is that so? You should have mentioned that earlier. I thought you weren't going to Paris.
Oh, you're going to Italy as well? There are some shoots I really want. They're made by a small manufacturer in Italy.
No, you two. Kitahara-kun is going there for business trip. If you mix it with personal things like that...
That's fine. Just tell me what you want. If it's too much to carry, I can just mail it back.
I haven't given my approval yet.
Sorry. However, after Setsuna said that one sentence, the victory was pretty much ours.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Coda has started. At least Setsuna and Haruki are back together happily. They're going on a trip to France together, which is nice. Her dad seems against it, but most dads would be against their daughter going to France with a guy, right? But they are adults, so they can do whatever they want. And they have to get to Strasbourg somehow to get that scene from the end of closing chapter.